Hello. Welcome. Shannon, good morning to everyone. Yes, good morning, Cindy. Donna, good morning. Sharon, good morning. I see your little kitty there. Boy, does Hamilton have quite the personality, Sharon, let me tell you. He meows to come in, meows to go out. It's an all-day event. It's crazy, all this meowing in, out, in, out. And then I just tried to do a little video with him and he squirmed away from me. So very nice. Hi, Lynn. Shannon, yes, I see you're there as well. It's so weird. Did I not see you at first? Oh, maybe I'm looking down. I don't know. Anyway, all right. No, I think I said hello. Hi, Deborah, Debbie from Florida. Well, I wonder what your weather's like, Debbie, because ours in Southern California today is a really lovely, gray, moist, cold day. And I say that because that's how I feel. I know some people don't like it, but I do. And I was just outside speaking to my flowers before I came in. And I thought, well, people think I'm crazy. So whatever. All right. Great. I am so happy to have you all here. And I am just so much great stuff is happening in the space of osteoporosis. And in this world that I'm in, there's so much more research coming out all the time on all the things that we can do for our own bone health. And I'm just so thrilled about that. Let me see. All right. So I'm going to come back here. Let me see. All right. So, perfect. For today's practice, I'd like to begin in some position, whether you can come into a seated position, which is this. I love this, the bending of the knees, bending of the hips. If it still is in your body, please keep it forever, as long as you can. If you don't have it anymore, that's okay. Find other options, whether you elevate yourself with a block to sit on, to put on your heels, whatever it is, or you're in a chair, or you're in this position, it doesn't matter. It's about arriving and setting this intention for the practice. So find some kind of position that you could sit in with your eyes closed so that there's a minimal distraction from your body to your mind. And for those that have issues in your tissues, if you have chronic pain somewhere, please make yourself comfortable. That is important. Make yourself comfortable. Because if you have a part of your body that is constantly communicating with you, throbbing, whatever that signaling is, it's like having a volume control on a radio or nails on a chalkboard. There's this constant aspect to it. So find whatever is a comfortable seated position for you and accept that that's what you're going to be doing. And wherever you are, close your eyes, bringing yourself to this closed eyes position so you could feel a little bit more, notice a little bit more with other senses when the eyes are closed. And what I'd like you to bring your awareness to is the fact that you are here today to strengthen your bones, to strengthen the muscles that move the bones, to stretch the ligaments that hold the bones together, to stretch the tendons, which is the end of the muscles that attaches the muscles to the bones, to stretch the wrapping and the tissue of your body that wraps everything so that your nerves can communicate more freely, which will mean that your balance can be better to help aid in fall prevention. It means that your joints can stay in a better aligned position, because when the joints are aligned, the joints don't need the protection of the minerals that you're storing in your bones. So they'll stay in there. You're here for your bone health. So you could either physically give yourselves a pat on the back or smile. It's an act of self-care. And it is the self I don't just mean that physical part of you that I could see. It's that deep aspect of our self where true deep healing takes place. It's deeper than your bones. And then feel your body, feel where you are, notice where you are. Notice the weight of what it is you're doing, which is that act of self-care. And then bring your awareness to your eyelids. They're closed right now. Allow them to blink themselves open. Feel them peeling away from each other as you bring your eyes to an open space. I think it's really important, especially for us females. Of course, we can't generalize, yet I think most of us know, those of us that are female, that typically there's a lot more giving as a female than there is of receiving. And this is an act of receiving from yourself the gift of self-care. And in this case, self-care for our bones. So thank you for being here. And thank you for taking care of you, because that's important. All right, with that said, for today's practice, I'd like you to have a strap. I'd like you to have a block and a blanket. And then we're going to begin. We're going to come down onto the ground. We are going to, let's take our blanket, fold your blanket, place your blanket up above your head. When you come down onto the ground, it's your head and neck that you'll support, and leave the spine and the torso free so that the ground can help to do a little postural correction deep inside of our spine and the upper back area, which is important. Bring yourself onto your tushy. Bring yourself onto your tushy. I want you to feel the buttock bones. Feel the buttock bones and then roll onto one side, whichever buttock you'd like to roll onto. Take that hand and slide that hand away from you as you bring yourself all the way down onto the floor. Let your back be on the floor and the blanket is supporting your head and your neck area, not the upper back. And then arrange yourself. I want you to try to find this yourself. When we are seated and standing, the inclination is for the shoulder blades. They're supposed to live on your upper back. And if the head is forward and the shoulders round forward, the shoulder blades start to slide to the sides and they move towards the front part of the body or the side of the body. So can you right now push your hands into the floor and slide your shoulder blades back towards your spine? And I want you to have that visual of these triangular shaped bones in the upper part of your body. And then throughout your day, trying to notice, where are my shoulder blades? And that can be a really nice raised awareness piece throughout the day to help with postural correction, which will be supportive for bone health. And then keep the knees bent, the feet are flat, and let your feet be a little bit wider than your body. And let the knees fall in towards each other. So the wider the feet go and the more the knees go in towards each other, that's internal rotation in the hip joint. So it's going to give a little bit more space in the back of the body, right back at the posterior hip. So see how that feels. Move your feet where they need to go. If you close your eyes, feel your way into where you need to be. And then the feet, you could either walk them away from you or keep them close to your body. I want you to feel what feels appropriate as you set yourself up in this postural position on the floor. And then let's take the right hand down on the belly and the left hand up on near the heart. Your arms are on the floor alongside your body so that the weight of the arms is supported. I'd like you to take your jaw, wiggle your jaw back and forth. Allow the lips to touch. So the teeth are not touching, the lips are. Begin to breathe in and out through your nose. And then turn on that inner witnessing quality of yourself. First, noticing where the breath goes when you breathe. So as if you were standing above yourself, looking down and looking to see what parts of your body move when you breathe. So be in an observational mode. Bring your awareness to your hands. Do you feel the body moving underneath your hands? Without judgment, without trying to make anything happen, I want you to be more in an observational mode of where your breath is when you breathe. And let's do a little guidance with the breath. Bring your awareness to your nostrils. As you follow the breath in for the next couple of breaths, feel that cool temperature in the air. Usually the air outside usually is colder because the internal body temperature is 98.7-ish. And that's going to be in the blood that's in the nostrils. So when the outside air comes in your body, if it's less than 98.7, you will be able to detect the temperature change from the outside to the inside. Begin to follow the breath to the heart so that the hand that's on your heart in the upper chest, you actually feel the movement there. And make that breath be as deep as it needs to be for you to feel on that hand, your chest moving. And then begin to direct the breath down to the belly. So let your hand that's on the belly spread. Feel the belly rise and fall as you breathe in and out. Keep your thumb near the lower ribs, the pinky down by where the legs attach to your body. And may take a couple of breaths to be able to experience breathing down low in the lower lobes of the lungs, especially if you're new to practicing controlling your breath or taking over control of your breath. So let's do a nice rhythmic breath where we bring the breath into the bottom part of the lungs, and then the middle, and then the top. And we'll exhale the same way, bottom, middle, top. I'd like you to keep your awareness where your hands are, the palms, so you feel the belly and then the chest pressing into your hands. So let's prepare by taking a breath to clear. Take a big exhale. And then let's begin. Breathe to your belly, then your lower ribs, then your chest. Exhale from your belly, your ribs, and chest. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, belly, ribs, 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 chest. Continue on your own, bringing the breath in all parts of the lungs. Feel the hands respond to where you're directing your breath. Stay with your hands. Feel the hands moving as you breathe. Finishing the breath you're on. Take 3 more complete rounds, slowing down the breath if you can. At the end of that 3rd breath, let the breath go. Give the breath back to the body to breathe you. And again, become an observer or a witness to your body breathing itself. Bring your awareness to your hands as you start to wiggle your fingers and then roll your wrists. Make fists, gentle fists, not really tight. Maybe even the thumbs touch the fingernails. And then bend the wrist so you feel a stretch at the wrist joint. Bring your awareness to your toes as you start to bring movement into your toes. And then let's take ourselves into a fully extended position, stretching your body glove. Go slow here. So when you lift your foot off the floor, flex it. Lead with the heel, go slow, strengthening hip flexor muscles, quadricep muscles as you come into this lengthened position and noticing the functionality of your joints as you move. The other foot lifts up. You flex the foot and you guide that heel away from you slowly. Requires stabilization, so stabilizing muscles will turn on when that happens. More opportunity for you to become observant of your body, the way it moves, where you have function and especially dysfunctional patterns in your body. So you could focus on what you need to work on, what you need to strengthen and lengthen. Take your hands long, take your feet long. You are your own best detective of your body and what it needs. You're going to be the best observer of that. Let's go ahead and bend our feet. We're going to get right into the movement aspect of the practice today. Push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up so that any tension or anything that happened in the body can leave. Place the pelvis back down on the floor. Make sure you have your block and your strap handy. The blanket is underneath the head and the neck only. Let's take the arms out to the side, straight like a letter T at first. And then let's do a little bit to move the head. Let the head go side to side, starting to bring some softening into that upper back and neck area. Already being in this position on the floor, you started to stretch some of those deep stabilizing muscles that are on the spine and in the shoulder joint. Small muscles need small movements. So being like this on the ground is a really nice way to begin to do some postural correction using the gentle, appropriate force of gravity to help do that. And bring yourself back to center. The arms are out to the side. We're going to see here what you have the ability to do, and you're going to be okay with whatever it is. So I'd like you to keep the back of the hands and the fingernails on the floor as you start to slide the back of the hands on the floor, keeping them on the floor the whole time. At some point, your body's going to say, I can't go any farther. And it depends on a lot of things that are happening in your shoulders and in your spine, in your neck. Coming into whatever you can. If you could come into a full 90-degree angle, that's a scarecrow arm or goal post position. Try to bring that into your body. If you can't, that's okay. Feet are on the mat, almost the width of the mat. Not quite the same width, but almost. Keep the soles of the feet on the floor, and then you're going to let the knees start to go side to side, keeping the soles of the feet on the floor. I want you to feel the sacrum, which is the base of your spine. It's embedded in your pelvis. I've been getting a lot of questions about the SI joint, known as the sacroiliac joint. It's the joint on the side of the sacrum that attaches to the pelvis. This is the base of your spine. So right now I want your soles of your feet to stay on the floor because I don't want you to rotate your trunk and start to do anything crazy. And I want you to see what you feel here. Don't go too far. And if you go too far and it doesn't feel good, your body's trying to say, don't go that far. So please listen and bring yourself back to center. Now I want you to go a little farther. The soles of the feet can come off of the floor. Let it be the weight of the leg bones that takes you towards the floor. Let it be more passive, meaning you're not pushing your legs to the floor. You're letting the weight of the leg bones pull towards the floor and pull the muscles of the hip and the torso and the pelvis so they could stretch appropriately. And then feel yourself rocking through the soles of your feet when you do this. Experience what you experience. Bring yourself back up to center. Take your feet wide. This is windshield wiper. I love this for warming up hip joints, for warming up core, for warming up low back, and for raising your awareness, hopefully learning to go slow and steady and what's appropriate for you. Now you can start, your legs will go a little farther towards the floor, allowing it to be more passive, meaning you're not pushing your legs towards the floor. I want you to allow the legs to move towards the floor in whatever range of motion they do. And I'd like you to feel yourself rocking across your sacrum, which is the base of your spine, giving yourself a gentle massage. Hopefully it is gentle. The next time your legs go to the left, can you let them stay there? Legs stay to the left. Let them arrive, let everything soften, and then activate that right arm. Flex the wrist, reach that right arm away from you, and reach that right knee away from you. So you're as long as you could be on your right side, and your heel of your hand is as far away from the kneecap on the right side as it could be. Try to let the left side be soft. Reach, 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 flex that wrist. Deep breaths down to your belly, down to the midsection of the torso. Take one more breath. And then bring yourselves back to center. Bring yourself all the way up. And then you're going to slowly, slowly go towards the right. Remember, allow your body to guide itself and to get to where it needs to go. Once you're there, soften. And then activate that left hand. Reach the left hand off the ground. Flex the wrist. Reach out the heel of the hand. And then reaching that left kneecap away from you and the left heel of the hand away from you. Reach, reach, reach. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back up to center. Bring yourself all the way back. Bring your legs back to center. Let's draw one knee at a time in, because that does have an effect on that sacroiliac joint and on the hips and all the other body parts. Nice to realign or calibrate everything when you can. All right, we're going to go into a little bit of stretching on that leg, the muscle behind the leg. So take your leg up, doesn't matter which one. The other knee is bent. Do a little bit of lubrication in that hamstring area, stretching that hamstring. And then bring your foot up, point the foot strongly and flex strongly. You're not just casually pointing up and bending. You're going as strong as you can towards the end range of motion so you feel as much stretch as possible. And the same thing when you come into the flexion. This is definitely more challenging. It's a much bigger muscle group that you're stretching here. And the tendency for this to be tight, the back of the leg, is very probable, is to have more tightness in the back part of the leg. And then I'd like you to go slow here. I observe people going too quickly through this movement. I don't want you to avoid, I want you to find the bumps in the road. I want you to find the freedom in your ankle joint, because it's very important for balance and communication of the nervous system from the tip of your toes to the brain and all the muscles and joints in between. Go slow, and then the other direction. Take the ankle joint, so the lower leg bone above the ankle joint on top of the leg, whatever leg you have, on top of the opposite thigh. There's space here between your legs. This is called a figure 4. It looks like a number 4. You could stay here if you have hip issues. When I had all my hip issues, this is as far as I could go. And I was okay with that. I accepted where I was when I was there. If you could go a little bigger, you could reach down, hand goes between the legs, hold on behind the opposite hamstring. This is the next level, and you're going to feel that stretch deep in that hip of the leg, the knee that's bent. And then if you can come to the leg straight, you would come there. Any of these is good. The best one for you is the best one for you. So I'm showing you all the different options. You choose whichever one has the correct amount of tension when it comes to pulling in your body. Take one more breath. And then let's switch legs. So put your feet on the floor. Let's draw the other leg in. You're flexing and extending that knee. If you make that foot active, make that foot flex to make it a little more active, you'll get more stretch to come up the whole back of the leg. You may hear some crunchy creaking like attic stairs. Usually this position here with the knee, getting the knee to flex like this, I would say for many people, almost most, this is the way to articulate the joint without pain when you're against gravity like this. So if you have knee joint issues, we need to have lubricating fluids in there to make that joint nice and smooth and keep the muscles that mobilize that knee joint and the hip, and then of course the whole leg and everything else, because we're all connected. Bring yourself up to a static position. Inhale to straighten that foot, to point that foot, and exhale to flex. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Feel the stretch. Go through your maximum range of motion or towards that. And now we're going to go for that slow ankle joint articulation. I like to imagine that I have a Sharpie marker on my big toe and that I'm trying to make the biggest circle possible on the ceiling. And then go in the other direction. So this is to keep that ankle joint, not only is it flowing for the nervous system to travel through for balance and joint alignment and coordination, it's also for what happens if you trip and your ankle joint needs to bend more than it usually does. You want to make sure it can come and show up for you and stretch more. Because if it doesn't stretch enough, it pulls on the bones and it causes a stress fracture. So for fracture prevention, we need to make sure we have a lot of play in our joints. Let's go ahead and take that leg. Let's come into a deep stretch and a pose that we use in osteoporosis to strengthen or to create that stimulation in the leg bones. Bring your foot up. Don't lasso your foot. I want you to place your strap on your foot. I want you to touch your toes and then put your strap on your foot. Any foot. I don't know if I said right foot. It doesn't matter. Do whatever foot you would like to do. Take the strap in the arch and then slightly towards the toes. Slide your hands down the strap. Wrap your hands around the strap so that you have a nice firm hold, and then draw that leg down towards the ground. So with a force pulling down towards the ground, so you feel that tushy pressing into the floor. If you'd like to straighten the other leg, that's an option. And the important thing when we're talking about osteoporosis is do not bend the knee. You need that knee to be straight so that we pull on the pelvis, and we want to strengthen the pelvis here. If you bend the knee, you're going to be in the center of your hamstring and you're not pulling on the pelvic bone, and we want to pull on the pelvic bone. So you may need to take your leg away from you if your leg isn't straight. Doesn't matter where that leg is, I need that knee to be straight. Pull the strap down towards the ground. Firm up the muscles now. So hug the bones of the leg with the muscles of the leg. And push the leg away from you with the muscles in your leg. And now draw that leg back towards the wall behind you. Wherever you can. Doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing is appropriate for you. Push that buttock into the floor, hug the bones with the muscles, and then pull the leg back towards the wall behind you. Create as much tension as you can handle. Hopefully you feel it right where the round part of your tushy is, where the leg attaches to the body. Pull the strap down, firm up the muscles, pull the leg back, take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. Try to create as much tension as you can. This here is a forward fold, one of the only forward folds that we use in the physical posture aspect of osteoporosis, yoga for osteoporosis. So make sure you do the maximum that you could do. Now keep that strap on that foot. Take the strap in the hand. Slide your hand down so your arm is closer to the floor. Keep that leg up. Press the other leg into the floor. Leg is straight or knee is bent. Push into the arch part of the strap and lengthen your leg out to the side. Keep that leg pretty high. Don't let it go down towards the bottom part of your mat. And then begin to take deep breaths here, really active here. So keep the leg straight, push it to the arch part of the strap and direct the leg up towards the wall behind you. Push the opposite leg into the floor and try to get the upper thighs of both legs as far away from each other as you can. Pushing one towards the ground, one up towards the wall behind you. Feel that stretch on the adductor muscles, the inner thighs. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back up to center. Take the strap off. Let's prepare the other side. Bring the foot in. Make sure that you can touch the foot, touching the toes. Put the strap around right below, right in the middle of the arch, and then slightly up towards the toes. Walk your hands down the strap, get a nice firm hold. Pull the strap down to deeply root that leg in the hip joint. Feel the tushy pressing into the floor. If you'd like to extend the opposite leg, go ahead and do that. Pull that strap down. Now firm up the muscles of that leg. Pulling down, firming up, and pushing it away from you with your muscles, and then draw it towards the wall behind you. Deep stretch behind the back of your leg, as deep as you can. The deeper, the more pull you do on that pelvic bone, the more stimulation you create, the more bone building you're creating in your pelvis. Very precarious part of our body that we need to protect. Pull the strap down, firm up the muscles. That's also very helpful here. Firming up the muscles of the legs, you push the leg away, and then you oppose that by pulling the leg towards the wall behind you. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and come out. We stay in these positions for 30 seconds. So try to be as deep as you can, as much stimulation as you can for 30 seconds. Take your hand in the strap, slide your hand down closer to the floor because that elbow can help support the weight of the leg. Leg is straight up off of your body. Other leg is pressing into the floor. And then firming up that leg, lengthen yourself out to the side, pushing into the arch part of the strap. Go as far down as you can. Here, this is a good way to show that if you do have trouble and holding your leg to the side feels too heavy and hard, being near a wall or resting your leg on a chair can be a really great way to still do this deeply and get a little bit of support if you need it. Press into the arch part of the strap, firm up the muscles of that leg, draw the leg towards the wall behind you, and press the opposite leg into the floor. Upper thighs are as far away from each other as they can be physically in this posture. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. Take the strap off to the side. We're going to do a warm-up for this next posture. It's kind of a challenge, this next posture. So depending on what your ability is, you always make sure that you're doing what's appropriate for you. So take a block, and the block, we're going to put it this way. I'm going to show you what it's going to be that way between our legs. So it's not the narrow way. This is the narrow way. This is the medium way. And this would be the long way. You want it to be the middle way because this distance, I think about 6 inches, is really sets you up for a nice hip distance. Bring your knees into your chest. Take the block between the lower legs, so the foreleg below the knees, and then flex the feet strongly. Take your hands down alongside your body, and then this depends on how strong your core is. So bring your knees into your chest for a second. Hold on to your knees. So for the core, if you visualize putting on a very, very tight pair of jeans, you would lie down on the bed, you would have to suck your tummy in, grab a hold of the zipper, and you would pull it up 1 inch at a time, sucking your tummy in the whole time to pull your tummy away from that zipper. So with the core, you're going to draw towards the center and then draw up and inward to protect your core when you do this. Flex your feet. Let the knees above the pelvis, if you have a pretty strong core, and you could stabilize your low back and not let your low back fly up off the floor or feel like it is. And if you are newer and this is too intense, if you draw your knees closer to your chest, it makes it a little bit easier to do. Keep your feet flexed. Squeeze your block. Let's inhale, let your legs go over to one side. Exhale, squeeze the block to come back to center. Inhale to the other side. Exhale back to center. Inhale, zipper up and contract your core to come back to center. Inhale, and zipper up your core to come back to center. Flex your feet, squeeze your block. Close your eyes and feel yourself rocking through the center or the top edge of the pelvis on the floor. So feel that connection. And then bring yourself back to center. Draw your knees into your chest. Take the block out for a second. So the posture that we're going to hold for 30 seconds is a variation of that. We're going to use the core and the oblique muscles to keep the legs hovering off the floor. Now, this is a pretty intense posture. So it's going to be that we're going to come over to the side and then hover with our legs, right, without touching. That's what this posture is. For those that are really advanced, it's a straight leg position. I don't ever do that version of it. Dr. Fishman does. He takes his legs up and boop, he goes all the way over to the side. It's a very strong practice. This is that whole midsection, important for balance, for coordination in the spine, and really a strong pose. So bring your knees into that position. If you need to bring them closer, bring them closer. And let's begin by inhaling over to that position and really keep that core contraction. Stay here and hover, keeping that core contraction. If you push the opposite arm into the floor and the arm that your legs are in that direction to help stabilize and support the weight of your legs hovering in the air over to the side. Keep your ankles pretty active here as well. And then on your next exhale, bring yourself back up to center. Take your knees into the chest for a second. We're going to go to the other side. Take your legs to the side, straight in front of you, and then you're going to inhale over to the side to come into this hovering, holding your legs in the air. Deep breath, core contraction. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. Bring your knees into the chest for a second. Let your legs go in the air. Let your arms go in the air. Let the legs sink into the sockets. And then go ahead and put your feet on the floor. Lift your pelvis up. We're going to take the block out from behind the head, coming right into the bridge posture. So that had a rotational aspect to it, and a counter-indicated movement for the spine after rotation is extension, the back bend. We're going to come into that back bend. Let's take the block and put the block between your, all right. So take the block and put the block in between your knees. Walk your feet closer to your body. For some of you, you'll be able to reach down and touch the back of your heels. Not all of you, maybe not most of you. So if you can't, don't try to do weird things to try to reach down to get it. It just should be natural, because you should have enough flexion in your knees and hips if you're going to be able to do that. So walk your feet back if you can. For those of you who your knees don't bend, that'll be a really hard thing. Take your hand behind your head, lift your head off the floor, tuck your chin down towards your chest. Feel that bump in the center of your head, that occipital ridge supported on the floor. And then take your hands alongside you. Bend your elbows, palms face each other, fingertips are up towards the sky. Dig your arms into the floor to lift your upper body off the floor, to let your let your shoulder blades slide closer towards the spine. Press your arms into the floor, push your feet into the floor, squeeze your block, let your low back touch the floor, and then begin to peel your spine away from the floor, one vertebra at a time, squeezing your tushy, squeezing the block, drawing the knees away from you as you lift yourself up. For those of you that are able to clasp without resting on your upper arm bones, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, stay here, dig your elbows and arms into the floor, palms face each other, fingers are open, squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy, let the chest push towards the heart, or the heart pushes towards the nose, chin is towards the chest. Push yourself away from the floor with your arms, with your feet, with your tushy. Let the weight be in the upper back, not in the head. Feel that strength of your back body. And bring awareness to your shoulder blades. Let them push your rib cage and lift your rib cage away from the floor even more. Take one more breath. When you come down, let it be slow. Articulate your spine so that you press one vertebra at a time towards the floor. One vertebra at a time. When you come towards the lower ribs, lift the heels off. Posteriorly tilt the pelvis to lengthen the lumbar spine. Feel that nice stretch in the lumbar spine. As you place your spine all the way down into the floor, take the block out to the side. Bring the blanket back up above your head and then draw your knees into your chest. Let's take the soles of the feet up towards the sky, one at a time, and spread your legs. Holding on behind your thighs to draw those upper leg bones closer to your torso helps to press the low back into the floor and give you a little relief there after those two back intensive movements, postures that we did. And if you can grab 2 fingers between the big toe and the second toe, go ahead and come into this deeper happy baby if that's available for you. But I want your head to be on the floor. So if you try to reach your toes and it lifts your head off the floor and it's very hard, don't do that part. Keep your hands behind your back thighs. Doesn't matter what you do, but it does matter that you do whatever you're doing safely. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring your feet onto the floor. Let's rock onto our side using the pushing muscles that we need to maintain for healthy aging and of course for bone health. Take your hand, push yourself away from the floor so that your head doesn't lead you. You push yourself away from the floor. And then let's come on to our hands and knees. Let's let everything settle here. So come onto your hands and knees. Let your body settle. Palms are on the floor, fingertips are forward. For those of you that don't like to bend your wrists, don't stop bending them. Bend them to the place that you can. Just like I spoke about the ankle joint having that range of motion and play in it in case you trip or fall, we need our wrists to also have a bigger range of motion in case we fall, we put our hands down. I mean, of course, we're not going to prevent every single thing. So there are forces that will cause a fracture no matter what you do. But we can keep our joints more limber, moist, and more range of motion so that we can minimize the pulling action that happens on the bones if we do take a joint beyond its range of motion, especially that ankle and the wrist. Moving back and forth, getting yourself to feel this. Okay, we're gonna come up for a second, take your wrist, shake your wrists out. We're gonna come into a plank pose and it's your decision. I'd like you to come into a full plank where your wrists are bent. So ideally a full plank moving up towards this, and maybe it's not something you'll ever do and that's okay, remember it wherever you are. Or you come into a modification of the full twist, because a full plank, this is gonna help to strengthen the upper body as well. Or maybe you really do need to just be careful with your wrist for whatever reason. You can come into the dolphin modified or the dolphin full. So any of these will do. We're going to strengthen that whole anterior chain. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Take your feet behind you and let all 10 toes touch the floor. So pushing away from the floor with your hands, push away from the floor with your hands. And then push away from the floor with your feet. The acceptable thing here for the tushy, if it's pretty strong for your upper body, you could have your tushy in the air a little bit, But the one thing you don't want is your pelvis below your shoulders. So you want to make sure that you're nice and supported. Push away from the floor. Bring your awareness to one foot. Make sure that all 5 toes, even the pinky toe, is pressing into the floor. And then bring your awareness to the other foot, all 5 toes, pinky toe included, pushing into the floor. Make sure your fingertips on one hand, all 5 of them, push really strong into the floor. And then the other hand, push all those fingers into the floor. Get as tall as you can from the tip and the crown of your head all the way down the spine to the tailbone. And then bring your awareness to the front of your body. Those tight jeans, can you zipper up the tight jeans? Zipper up all the way to your belly button, right below your ribs. You're zippering, zippering, zippering. And then go ahead and bring yourself down. Shake your wrists. Let's come down onto the ground. Do our locust pose, strengthening our back body. Take your knees all the way to the end of your blanket, if you have a blanket here, so that when you do come down, the blanket ends up around those hip bones. It's nice and supportive on the floor. Walk your hands forward. Bend your elbows. Bend your elbows. Go slow here to bring yourself down onto the ground. Make sure your pelvis is supported on the ground, and then come up into a Sphinx posture. Let the toenails touch the ground. Let the pelvis be heavy. Let your belly be soft. And then make sure your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Quite often I see them wider than the shoulders. We want that nice, stable base of shoulders, elbows under shoulders. Push your hands into the floor, your forearms into the floor, and your elbows into the floor. And then let your body wiggle a little bit to soften the belly, soften the low back. Stretch the front of your body. Take some deep breaths down to the belly. Feel that stretch right underneath the ribs. And then you could push away from the floor a little bit more. Let the back be soft here. And breathe down to your belly. Feel that deep stretch that comes in. Some of those core muscles, stabilizing muscles on the spine. The psoas, which is the hip flexor muscle group. And then with length in your spine, bring yourself all the way down towards the floor. Take your forehead onto the floor, your nose onto the floor. Bring your arms alongside your body. Walk your feet so the big toes touch. Let your big toes touch. Push your feet into the floor. Fingertips are reaching away. Thumbs are touching the body. Palms are up towards the sky. Inhale. Lift everything off the floor. Your head, your upper body, your hands, your legs, and rotate the legs in the socket so that the soles of the feet are pointing up towards the sky, not in towards each other, up towards the sky. Reach your hands up and away, reach your legs up and away, reach your head up and away. You could stay here, or if you'd like, you could clasp the hands, bring the hands up a little higher. Whatever you do is good for you. Lift your legs up towards the sky. Lift your head up towards the sky. Lift your arms up towards the sky. Take one more breath. And then go ahead, fold your hands one on top of the other. Take your legs as wide as the mat. Let the back of the hand be where the forehead rests. Wiggle your pelvis back and forth, side to side. So you create a lot of movement, and then when you stop, everything settles. Breathe down to your belly. Take one more breath. And then take your hand away from you, roll onto your side where your hand is, cradle your head in that hand, then take the opposite hand on the floor, push yourself away from the floor to bring yourself up to a seated position where you're going to do one seated twist to give a little bit of spinal stimulation, strengthening our spine, really important. Keep your block handy, and you're going to fold your blanket and then sit on top of your blanket. When you sit on top of your blanket, I want you to reach down and grab a hunk of flesh in your tushy. So you pull it back, pull the muscles back so you expose the bones that you're sitting on, and be near the front edge of your folded blanket. So you're near the front edge. You almost feel like you're falling forward. It puts the pelvis in a really nice position so you can let the spine grow out of the pelvis. And when we do the twists, the important thing about twists is that you have spinal alignment, in alignment, and then a little bit of extension pushing the heart forward, like that bridge posture we did on the ground. Let's go ahead, come to the same side as me. It's easier for me to direct that way. So bend your left knee and take the block behind your body, right behind your body, maybe in the middle or closer to the left, depending on how much rotation and flexibility you have in your body. So your left leg is bent. You're going to hold on to your left leg, get nice and tall, so really grow out of your pelvis here. Right leg is active, right heel is pressing into the floor, right sole of the foot is away from you. And then hold on to that left leg with the right arm and take your left hand on the block. Get as tall as you can, push down into the block to get tall, and hold on to that left leg to get tall. Push your heart forward, lower your shoulders. Inhale. As you exhale, the lower ribs, the middle ribs, and the upper ribs rotate to the left. Let it be about the rib cage and the heart light turning to the left. Push your heart forward, lower your shoulders. Deep breaths down to your belly. Active legs. Be really active in this. Don't just hang out. You're pushing down into the floor. You're growing out of your spine. You're lowering your shoulders at the same time, sliding the shoulder blades back onto the body, back towards the spine, pushing your hand into the floor to be as tall as you can. One more breath. And then you're going to slowly unwind. Let's take the opposite leg, the right leg, bend the right leg. The block is behind you, closer to the center of your body. Hold onto your right leg. Get as tall as you can here. Keep that spine nice and long so you could be safe in your rotation. Take your left hand around that right leg. The right hand is on the block behind you to get nice and tall, pushing your heart forward, lowering your shoulders. Inhale. As you exhale, lower ribs, middle ribs, and upper ribs rotate, rotate. Feel that wringing out, that torque action in your body. Deep breaths down to your belly. Lower your shoulders. Slide the shoulder blades towards each other. Push the legs, active legs here. Grow out of your spine. Grow out of your pelvis. Grow out of the ground. Take one more breath. And then slowly, slowly bring yourself down. Take your legs out in front of you. Shake, shake, shake. And then take them really wide. So you come into a spread leg position and let your body come forward a little bit. Not at all bending the spine. My spine is not bending when I come forward. Now I have, pretty decent range of motion, of some flexibility in my body. So maybe for you that doesn't happen. What you cannot and should not do is this, or trying to get the head forward and the body round. So that's a no-no. The spine needs to be nice and long the whole time you're coming forward, if you're able to come forward. And come forward and stay there. Take a couple of breaths. So Carson has not joined our yoga class in a long time. This is a different room for him. Carson, can you say hi to everyone? All right. So we're going to come to a standing position to do some postures in a standing position. So come onto your knees or your lower legs. And then you're going to bring a leg forward. So I would bring the weakest leg forward if you feel pretty strong and you have good balance. And otherwise, if you don't feel as confident with your balance and your strength, bring the strongest leg forward. But always trying to switch things up and challenge yourself and keep yourself strong always. Take your back foot under, take your hand on top of your thighs. You're going to push yourself forward and then lift yourself up away from the floor. Move your props out of the way. Keep your back nice and flat. When you bend down to grab your props, keep your head up. And then grab a chair. So for the standing postures for today, I actually would like you to be close to a wall if that's possible. I'm going to teach it with a wall, and I really would like you to find a wall. And the other option that I've noticed some use that's pretty nice too is a sofa. So if I have a sofa that's about this height and my leg is near the sofa when I do whatever it is I'm doing, that leg would be supported by the sofa, and that actually can be also nice. So having yourself near a sofa, or in this case, I'd like you to be near a wall. Let's take the chair and face the chair seat towards you. And then just come onto your feet for a second. Let's load up the hips here and load up the legs. You're going to push yourself to one side, push yourself to the other. So it's the sides of the feet. It's the pinky toe edge, and it's over that ankle joint that I want you to be pushing down into there. So staying away from putting any excessive pressure on the knee, the side of the knee. You're going to be going side to side here. It's kind of like what skiing does or rollerblading when you load up the posterior. I want it to be posterior in the back here just to get nice and warm in there. And then bring yourself back up. All right, the first thing we're going to do is a triangle posture. So keep your legs nice and straight here. We've done a lot to really stretch the legs today, and then also getting that rotational aspect of the trunk. And those are two aspects of a triangle posture, which is going to pull on the pelvis, press into the pelvis, and rotate the spine. So it's actually a really big posture for creating a lot of bone building stimulation. Toes are forward. You're going to, whatever side you're going to go to, pick up the toes, keep the heel in the floor, keep that leg straight, and turn the toes underneath the chair. You don't all need a chair, by the way. For those of you that have pretty strong practice, you could have a block there, or you could actually have your hand on your thigh as well. Let's pick up the back heel, move the back heel away from you so you feel that firm foundation of the pinky toe edge, and that arch is reaching away from the floor. Push your feet into the floor, and then draw that energy up into your body. Let your arms come up, reach your hand away, let your hips go in the opposite direction. That front hip, you really want to bend that front hip deeply. So bend the front hip deeply, keep your spine nice and long, and come down into your triangle posture. This is triangle. For some of you, if you had a block there, you could go a little lower, or you could even take your hand, place your hand, the back of the fingers on that lower leg. So try not to reach on it and let it support you. Put your hand there. Push your feet into the floor, get nice and long, and grow out of your pelvis. Push the back foot into the floor, especially that edge, over where the ankle joint is. Take one more breath. And then when you bring yourself up, keep your legs straight, keep your torso nice and straight, and lift yourself up with your core. Let's go into our twisted triangle posture. So keep that front leg where it is. Take the back foot and just bring it a little bit closer. And point both toes are forward. So that's what you need for twisted triangle. We're going to rotate over that front leg. You're only about 2.5 feet apart. We're gonna rotate towards the wall. Hands are on your waist, push your feet into the floor, bend at your hip joint to bring yourself forward. And then you put your hand on the chair and your other hand comes on the wall. Push your feet into the floor, lengthen your spine here, and rotate your heart to face the wall. You could use the hand on the chair to help with that. The hand on the wall can help with that. Push your feet into the floor. Really let the inner thighs go towards each other and try to create more tension in the posterior hip capsule. Lengthen your spine, rotate, rotate, rotate. Twisted triangle. Push your feet into the floor, push the heels into the floor. Take one more breath. And then to come out of this, you bend the front leg to take the tension on the front leg and bring yourself all the way up. Let's take the chair to the other side. Feet are wide here. Let your feet be nice and wide. Then you're gonna set yourself up. You're gonna pick up your toes, turn your foot underneath your chair, and your back heel moves up and away. Feet push into the floor, draw that energy. So pushing down, rebound by drawing up. Bring your arms up, and then bending at that front hip joint, you reach away with your hand, and you bring your hand on top of the chair, bring your arm up. Triangle. Feel a pretty strong stretch behind that front leg. Try to rotate your trunk forward, lengthen, reach, and get nice and long in your spine, and then you rotate it forward. Push into that back foot, the back pinky toe edge, very active arches in both feet. Both feet are active. Deep breaths down to your belly. Of course, for those of you that want to come down, if that's part of your practice, to go a little lower, really keep yourself nice and long in your torso when you do this. Take one more breath. Keep your legs straight as you bring yourself up. And we'll come into our twisted triangle posture. So for twisted triangle, that front foot stays forward. You bring the back foot in. It's about 2.5 feet distance, so not too far here. And then push your feet into the floor. Put your hands on your waist, bending at the hips. So that front leg draws into the hip joint, adding a lot of compressive force in that pelvis. And you're pulling on the back of your leg with that front leg as you come into that flexion and that back hamstring. Push your feet into the floor. When you start to add that rotational force, then you're wringing out all the way down to your calf. Use your hands on the chair and on the wall to help rotate your trunk. Push your feet into the floor. Squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. That may give you a little bit more rotational force to ground yourself and move out of. Lengthen, lengthen. Deep breaths, push your feet into the floor, inner thighs towards each other, heels into the floor. Rotate your heart over the direction of that front leg. Take one more breath. To come out, you'll bend that front knee, keep your head lifted, keep your spine long, and bring yourself up and out. Perfect. So that was lovely, and now it's going to be time for Shavasana. So if you'd like to leave your chair there, that's a nice way to settle the low back. Getting your props, whatever you need, a blanket for your head. Get whatever you need. Get yourself down onto the floor, setting yourself up for a nice, wonderful last posture of the day, the Shavasana posture. Letting yourself go, focusing on your breath, staying in this present moment, and allowing all the goodness you did in today's practice settle into your body. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll your ankles and your wrists. And then draw your knees into your chest. Rocking side to side. And rock all the way onto your right side. Or whatever side, actually. And push yourself away from the floor to come up to seated. We'll close our practice allowing everything to settle that just happened in our body, happened in our mind, whatever that may be. So bringing your hands to your chest, thumbs touch each other. The hands are at the chest, nice and long spine. We're going to close with Om, blending the Ah, the O, and the sound. Bringing that through the three sections of the lungs, the lower, the middle, and the upper. So sit as nice and tall as you can. Let's take a deep exhale. And then an inhale. Bowing in Namaste. Namaste. Well, I'm glad that Carson got to join in on the yoga today. Definitely a different experience to do Shavasana, which is about connection of the self to the self, the small self to the big self, and to have the sound of purring nearby was a very grounding way to do that. So I recommend Shavasana with a cat. Come here, honey. Sharon, I know you're happy. Whenever they come, can you come say hi to everybody, please? This is Carson. Carson with a K. We got him at the Carson shelter. Carson. Rosalie, hi. Have you been with me before? Sorry if you have. And I just am not, my mind's not working. Susan, nice to see that you're here. Jeannie, good. Glad you're feeling good. Definitely a little bit stronger, right? He's a big guy. I think he's like 16 pounds. And yeah, good. Glad you like that class. Good. More relaxed, but also today I thought was kind of strong. So I'm wondering if you guys were feeling that way as well. A meowed good practice. Yeah, there you go. He is just so amazing. I know you do, Sharon. They're for you. They come here for you because they know that you're always asking, where are they? He is just an amazing cat. It's his sister, his littermate Carson, that we lost 18 months ago. She was the tiger stripe version of him. He's got the white and she had this color in her. And we got them at the Carson shelter in 2013. He is amazing. You couldn't see it because it was during Shavasana, but he's a head butter. So he gets in your space like he wants to be loved. And he comes up and he's big. Look at him. He's 16 pounds. All right. Joyce, good. Yes, it's great to do yoga with him. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you feel good. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like if you like. And I look forward to seeing you in my next class, course, whatever. Have a great day. And yeah, he is big. And I've probably got white hair. Yep. I don't know if you can see the hairs. No, hairs everywhere. All right. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful, blessed day. And I'll see you later. Bye.